So thanks, everyone. We get better turnout for our special meetings sometimes than our regular meeting. Couple of announcements before we get right in on the TIF. Seth, you wanted to say something on?
Yeah, we're going to have a second, not annual, semi-annual, Mid-Coast Maine Solar Forum. We haven't set a date yet, and I'd like some input on that. Probably sometime in early March. The last one we had was April 4th, 2017, I think, and it was actually over-attended. We had standing room in here. And so I've volunteered to offer the annex as a meeting place, and we're trying to figure out if we should maybe make it a potluck or something a little more interesting. We figure it'll be a 2-hour seminar sort of presentation. We haven't got the speakers yet. The presentation and then question and answer, just like we did last time. Dana Dow is going to be a sponsor of it, and we hope for a good turnout, and we'll start advertising the second we get a date. Does anybody have any suggestion? I forgot to look up what the
You
4th
want to do
was.
it on a weeknight?
Probably, yeah. What was the 4th in April?
March 4th or April 4th? March 4th
In
is a Monday.
2017, we had very good attendance. I wonder what night it was.
I can go back to
It was April 17th, 2017. I mean, April 4th. That wouldn't conflict with a select board meeting, because it's too early.
Yep.
I don't think, a Tuesday or Thursday is often good.
April 4th was a Tuesday.
Let's just say Tuesday. And we want to do it in March. What is the second select board?
April or March?
We're talking about a little earlier this year, just because there's a lot of solar legislation going on,
Yeah.
and we want to prime it 2 weeks earlier.
April 1st is a Monday and April 8th is a Monday, so the 2nd or the 9th.
So if we go backwards into
March.
March, the
It's
last,
going to give you a lot of time to get it set up.
no, I know, it's,
Late March.
well, it's 2 months. If we do the last Tuesday in March, what would that be?
Last Tuesday in March is the 26th.
And is it, so that's not one of your meetings? That's after?
It is one of our meetings.
Yeah,
Well, it
it's
is
the
one.
select- yeah.
I'm sorry.
The first
Well,
one.
let's do the first of April, yeah. What was the first Tuesday in April?
The first Tuesday in April was the 2nd.
Good, so it'll be April 2nd. And I'll just make sure all the speakers can do that. And any ideas, any thoughts about not only the subject matter, which
We
will
may have a problem on that one too, sorry.
What's
There's
that?
a combined budget committee select board meeting. It's budget season, so they'll be meeting on April 2nd for the budget.
How about Wednesday?
Let me double check that calendar.
Wednesday, it's early, I don't have any school board meetings.
Wednesday the 3rd.
We're right in the middle of budget season.
Yeah, maybe Wednesday the 3rd.
Is there a chance there'll be different regulations actually happening in Augusta by then, or things that will
They
affect?
already are.
Things are happening.
Things are
Yeah, they're
really
moving
happening.
fast.
So
They're-
there's updates at least in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they've submitted
suspect
bills.
by that time, at least LD 91 will have been passed as an emergency measure. And the LD 41, which is a net metering thing, is a poison pill, basically, by O'Connor, who's a Republican. I think will die next week, we hope.
Yeah.
It's a bad one. But it sounds good on paper, you know, it's one of those.
It'd be great if CMP had their billing system figured out.
That won't happen for a
Well,
while.
it doesn't really matter, because you can't
Or
log
if the
into their
state
site half
buys
the
them
time.
out.
Yeah,
Anyway, there would be things to talk about.
yep.
What was the date?
April 11th might work. The budget meetings are on the 2nd, the 4th, and the 9th, if we need 3 meetings.
What is the Wednesday, last Wednesday in March?
Last Wednesday in March is the 27th.
27. Is there any reason that wouldn't work for anybody?
Depends on if you want WBA, if there's any business members there you want.
Oh, that's our meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to combine it? You want to be a sponsor? No, I'm serious.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's a terrific idea.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that.
Why don't you fill out we have a form on the website to request a sponsorship. And I can bring it up, the board meeting's this Friday coming up next
I'll do
week.
it. So let's just pencil in
It's not suggesting we
Wednesday.
have to pay money. We could just put our name
Well,
on
he
it.
asked sponsor.
Well,
That's usually money.
no, I wasn't thinking of money, Jen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw in soda or something like that, or, you know, beer and coffee. Let's tentatively say March 27th. And I think we did the last one at 6 PM. That's usually, or is it 6:30 better for people?
Good time, 6 o'clock.
It's not too early for people to get here.
6 is probably.
Let's say 6 PM,
6 PM.
6 to 8 PM. And we went longer last time because people wanted to talk, and that'll be
Yeah,
fun.
that gives you that.
And if anybody has any particular interesting ideas about speakers, let me know. I have a couple in mind.
Is Jeff Evangelos in your radar for this?
Jeff and Dana.
Good.
Jeff isn't a sponsor yet, Dana is. But we don't want them to talk too long.
How
We
about
want
Bill,
to-
how about Bill Barron, the guy who owns Revision Energy?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking of, what's his name, his partner, but,
Piper?
yeah,
No.
I can't ever remember his name. Not Fortunate, the other guy with the funny name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
There's the guy from Pittsfield. who's
Yeah,
very good.
Von Woodruff,
Yeah, Von
Yeah,
Woodruff.
Vaughn.
in source.
Yeah,
They were looking for opportunities to talk to businesses,
Yes,
and I think I sent you an email about that.
very
So
good.
maybe this
Yep.
would be the time.
yep. Yeah, it'd be a perfect opportunity.
If they reinstitute some of those tax credits for businesses converting somewhat to solar that were used quite a lot,
It's a total no-brainer.
we have a whole bunch of businesses in town that have already received the renewable energy audit so that they're ready for that next step.
There's a company that did the installation and programming of a fairly sophisticated air handling system in my Arch building, so that it takes air and sends it outside if it's appropriate, or sends it inside if it's appropriate, all monitoring temperatures everywhere and blowers coming on.
Wow.
It's an ERV.
Was that
They're great.
Rockport Energy?
Yeah, it's a company out of Brunswick.
We need another
It's a
chair.
Canadian system.
Good morning.
Well, this was put in because somebody figured out, I didn't find these people, they appeared, it was a part of the grant.
Thank you, son, for doing
Well,
that.
as things scintillate, fire them my way.
You're so sweet.
Yep.
Just to
Got a
me.
Canadian one.
Okay,
I
and
know this guy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry I'm late, but it's my trainer day, so.
not a problem.
Oh, and for those of us who are feeling old, there's a second yoga class at the annex. Well, look around the table. Max, you're exempt.
Yeah, you better say that.
Feeling
loud.
old and being old.
There's a second beginner's yoga class on Thursday
last night,
nights.
wasn't
Yeah.
And it was too cold.
I told my
Everybody
wife
canceled.
about it.
Yeah.
She's interested.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Kripalu Gentle Yoga is very nice.
And this is
It's very nice.
specifically gentle. It turns out the
Yeah.
moderate was not moderate enough for beginners, so. But that's
I don't
nice,
know.
we have 2 yoga classes in town.
I got a Russian trainer. There was nothing nice about him or gentle. Lift your ass. Okay.
He's got her speaking with a Russian accent.
Oh, he does. Oh, it's just, he's like 52 and he looks like, he says, how old do you think I am?
Oh, that's too funny.
I said 30. He goes, I'm 52. He shows me his license. I'm like, oh, I want to look like you in 2 years. Can you make me look like you in 2 years?
Russian man?
I gotta tell you, he's so hot. I wouldn't mind being a Russian man.
We'll have to edit the tape.
Lingerie shopping with the, and now it's just terrible. No, but it's just so funny, like you just.
It is
Why do I
funny.
get the feeling there's gonna be a blank piece on the tape?
I know.
It's okay. That could be one of those discredit things in my contract. We might want to fix that.
That's right.
All right, and so thank you. I got an update from Ron, who could not be here because he is in Augusta today. But here's what he said. He said, based on the November DEP and recent report just released on the remediation systems operations, it appears the site, this is the Sylvania site, it appears the site continues to be suitable for a surface operation such as solar.
Well,
I'm just reading an update.
I know, but
This isn't me.
I know, but I don't want that to. There is the New Wells report has not been released by the DEP yet, so they still have those reports, and that has not been released. So we don't actually know
And Ron
anything
knows
more
that.
yet.
Ron knew that. He shouldn't have, he should have.
He says it appears.
Right.
The site
This was actually just
continues to
private
be
mail.
suitable. So he's
Yeah.
actually basing it on the November reports. So I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, but the November reports stipulate about the New Wells that haven't, and that testing's under a separate report.
Okay.
So we just need to be
So
cautious.
we're not there yet.
We're not there
Yeah,
yet.
We're not there
Okay.
yet.
He says, I hope that that can be confirmed with the Sylvania Task Force and the town. Revision has completed analysis of the nearly 1 megawatt installation, about a $2 million project. I had hoped RSU 40 could be the beneficiary. It turns out the school has negotiated a terrific price with CMP such that solar wouldn't be of benefit in the short, medium term. We'll still be looking at creative ways to finance the project on their behalf, but also other user possibilities. In any event, I'm trying to get the long-awaited and overdue meeting going with Ledvance officials in Massachusetts now that such a development seems plausible, and will keep you posted. And then he does talk about having a Dana Dow, Jeff Evangelo's session. And I don't know, Seth, if that would be the session you just talked about?
No, he
or
was
is it
thinking we
different?
should do a strategy. Dana's gonna be a principal sponsor of a solar bill that hasn't been drafted yet. It's being drafted. And I think it'll be with Seth Berry. And that's gonna be a big one. That will be a good bill, like 1363 2 years ago. It'll be a comprehensive start to market-based net metering. But that hasn't been done yet, and that's what they're talking about.
So he's suggesting a special session where we, and I don't know if that's a EDC session or a renewable session, but a special session where we can talk about various initiatives going on in Augusta, important to Waldoboro and the region, kind of legislative briefing overview. And then he does talk about the solar bills before the legislature. He mentions that the Waldoboro Business Association had its 15th anniversary last night. Would that have been Wednesday night?
It was Wednesday night.
And he notes that the MVLT has merged with Midcoast Conservancy, and there's development underway at the Waldo. So we got lots of good things going on. He
Oh,
says
even more,
there's
yeah.
a lot of excitement in Waldoboro, and he says keep the brochures going out there and keep the messaging going and the newspaper articles and all that good stuff. So very positive. I thought.
My son sent me a link to a site that has 50 graphs, one for each state, about how their sourcing of electricity has
Oh, yes.
changed over
Those
20
are the
years.
times, yeah.
Amazing. The reason I bring it up is that it is absolutely evident that the politics of the state has a tremendous impact on the transitions in where you get your power. It's what, I mean, just look at the New England states.
Yeah, yeah.
So that,
Do you have that link you could share?
yeah.
Okay. That'd be cool.
So I guess generally we would be in favor of having Dana and Jeff come to a special session, and
I can-
we don't know what the date is or when, but
End of
somewhere
next
in
month,
the
we both have a meeting, and we're on the Thursday, and I'm the third Thursday, and we're on the,
and so
you know what I mean.
we'll try to make
We
one
can
of
do
those
work.
one of those
end
work.
next month.
All right, good. And that's all I have, so I'm going to hand it over to our TIF folks, and away we go.
The purpose of this meeting is to set ourselves, establish a meeting schedule in February. Two-prong approach. One is to target some groups in the town, including the shellfish group and the firemen, because they're a larger constituency of members. And then have at least two just open meetings, informational meetings, just for people to ask questions, things like that.
Pros and cons of TIFs.
Yeah, just, I mean, and it's really would be informational. We would provide like a simple 10-minute kind of overview of what is the TIF, and then leave it open mostly for questions. And then the third I should mention is we'll get this information up on the website too. And particularly there's a question and answer page that will go up. We'd have to, Max reminded me, we have to preface it with kind of an overview statement. And then also we'll get a edited, no, I shouldn't say edited, but a concise copy of the proposed TIF. We're gonna take out some of the placeholder stuff and just put, so it might be, I think it's like 11 pages, it might come down to like 5 or 6 pages, because there's just a lot of blank pages in there that we won't fill out till we get the actual application, because they're like forms and things like that. So we'll get that on the website, so people can see what it is. And then the purpose of the public meeting are really just to get the word out there and to answer any and all questions. And then based on that, we'll meet, our next meeting, we'll make any changes, and then we'll hopefully get together a final draft, which will kind of coincide with the March 31st, or date, which is when we have to put in the actual numbers for the assessed values, and then that will go for a public hearing, and then that will, in preparation for the town meeting. And of course, in there, we have to fit 1 or 2 select board meetings to get the board. Probably right after the informational meetings, if we affect any changes, we'll go back to the select board, say, here's the working draft, and want to get your input before we make the final draft and things like that, so.
Has one of these ever failed at the polls?
My exact question.
Oh, yeah, occasionally they do, yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's why the information sessions are very, very critical. A lot of times, people just don't know.
They'll understand.
Yeah, and one of the things that we'll get a lot of questions on, it'll be that we're going to use, the money has to be used, there's a statutory definition for how we can use it, so it can't be used to build a community center. It's really targeted, or a fire station or a new town hall. It's targeted towards, the economic development projects, and they all have to connect to an economic project. And as we mentioned, if there's ancillary benefits, like if we're going to send a sewer to an industrial park and people along the way connect, fine, that's not a problem. But again, the purpose has to have an economic kind of thing, so, and, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Can we make sure to have a list of other towns currently around us doing it, and
perfect.
what they're using those for?
Yeah.
How it's benefiting the
We
town?
spoke about that before, we'll
Yeah.
get that list so we can.
Because I think that's going to be a crucial thing to have examples.
Yeah. And they're all
That's
around us.
exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all around.
Then
There-
it makes sense, right? Then you start to go, oh, that's cool.
And there's 3 right in our immediate area where the TIF funds are actively being used on a current project.
So that's the kind of, right, getting that information out there
Yep.
is what's going to, people are going to say, oh, that's how Rockland got that.
Got that.
Yada,
Right.
yada,
And
yada.
they're all but-for projects.
Right.
Without,
Right.
but for the TIF.
Right, it wouldn't have
None of
happened.
this would ever happen,
I think that's very powerful.
Might it make sense to have somebody from a local town who's had a particularly successful TIF come to at least one of those meetings so people can ask them questions?
We could, I think, personally, I would rather focus it on, questions and not less presentation and more dealing with
I
specific
meant as a
questions.
resource for questions.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure that might just clutter things up.
This has probably been answered many times, but I'm going to ask it again. If I were to say, well, the eel growing business is going to be moving here.
Yeah.
If we have this all in place, that falls under that heading. The presence or absence of TIF had no bearing on them coming
No.
here.
Right.
So is there an argument, a negative argument, that we are just giving up tax dollars that we would have just had by doing this?
I don't
Well,
understand.
Well, I mean.
I
go
guess,
ahead.
I guess we could say out front, we don't need the TIF. If we were great financial planners at a municipal level or state level, we don't need a TIF, because we would dedicate our tax money into specific economic. Now, let's go step back to reality, that doesn't happen. So the TIF gives us an incentive to do this. And it also has a slight benefit, is that we capture that value that would would affect our revenue sharing in school and county, so we get,
It's
we
forced-
get some
it's-
money, there.
It's savings.
It's forced savings.
It's for
Yeah.
savings.
But I'll tell you already, just from inside the office, there is already
Oh,
just
Yes,
Yeah.
a buzz.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Again,
Wait a
it's
minute, hang on.
Do we
I'm
lose
not- A
control?
good buzz or a bad
no,
buzz?
a bad buzz.
because they don't understand.
Well, does the
That's why
town
we
lose control of that tax
Well,
revenue?
the theory is that you're losing, that is not going, everybody else is going to pay for it. That's my tax dollars now make up for some new business that's coming in,
No, it doesn't.
but
I
No,
know.
but that's,
Yes, but
that's what we're talking about
the
right now.
person who,
Yeah.
but the people who haven't been to these meetings, who don't know
Yeah,
about what
yeah.
we're doing, they do
That's
not know that.
But there's
Correct.
is one statement,
And that's-
The
and
TIF is
that's-
created to benefit the community and has no
You have to tap.
benefit to any individual business whatsoever.
but the thought is that money, the voter doesn't have choice where that money goes.
Yeah.
And that,
Well, they make choice by voting for it and knowing what the goals are and what our restrictions are.
Okay, but before
That's
you
a
go,
very-
no,
I get
before you go
that.
there, could you
But
succinctly tell me
Their
what
issues?
their issue? Yeah.
because you know what? You should go and talk to them after
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
I think that would give you guys
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
idea, because you're gonna have my former finance director
Yeah.
not on board because she thinks and I'm just saying, that's just one person, but that will give you, I wouldn't all of you go, I think just Jan should go, but that's gonna give you a good idea.
But what does she think? I agree with
No,
that. I agree
ask
with
her,
that.
ask
her.
All right.
Ask her.
Because here's what I think. I think.
I was
Go ahead, John.
trying to make a point here. When you mentioned fire department and Shellfish, why didn't you have the town office?
Yeah.
Employees of the town attend one of those groups?
If you want Shellfish in February, you've gotta tell Eileen today.
So if the town office employees attend that, it would be an educational opportunity.
Great.
Well, I'm not gonna force them to, but yes, they can if they want.
Is there a regular meeting that the workforce has?
Yeah, right. Could they have their own private informational meeting?
I meet with my department heads.
Too many people in this town office are antennas to the residents of this town.
That was my point. That was exactly my
It's
point.
not- This is not a no-brainer.
But it's also, just to bear in mind, is that they are, especially if they live here, and most of them do, it's their prerogative to believe
Absolutely.
what they
Of
want.
course it
So
is.
Sure. but
I
the-
can't require them to come to any type of a meeting.
Well,
for-
that's the
for
reason
that.
if you
why
don't
we're taking this
understand
month,
things,
at
it's
least,
good to find out
to
what's
do this
really
outreach.
going on.
But
Right, but I
my-
can't say, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with their job, so it's
No.
not like I can say,
But
come to
if
this
they're
meeting.
atypical of town employees, then, or sorry, town residents, then it behooves us to listen what their concern is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't answer their concern after page 2 of
Yeah.
question and answer, right up front. So we understand this is a concern.
But I
Let me
think that would give you a good, I think if you just go into my front office
Yeah.
after we're done here, and,
All right.
and if you don't mind, it will give you a very good sample of what you're gonna be in for.
So
And you don't need to debate with her, you just
No.
listen to her.
No, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah, please
This
don't
isn't the
debate.
time, this is not the
Bill
time
can't
for.
convince her, and he's with her and Max.
Well, this is not unusual. The same, not objections, but misconceptions or reservations are what we face all the times, with this.
I did get, though, that it was going for infrastructure, and, well, that's better than the last time.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
So I did get that.
Well, and that's why we also have to say we designed this to be as palatable as possible for Waldeboro. And the second thing is that this is a tool. It's not foolproof.
Right.
And it can be changed.
Right.
And every time you use the money, like if we have money saved and it's gonna go to a project, the select board just doesn't say, all right, let's use it. It has to go to the town meeting.
You know what might be good
Go
is
through
if
it.
we take, and Max can pick employees that we know live in town and do almost like a testing like you do with juries.
Oh, that's
group type
funny.
thing?
A
Yeah.
focus, yeah.
A focus group.
A focus group.
And just and present it to them, do his presentation.
Yeah.
And then see, because then you're going to get a really good feedback of what the actual questions are going to be, maybe even different from what's on here.
And 10 years ago, I was doing a lot of work over in Knox County, and so I was over there when they were doing the Rockland
Right.
more often than I am now. And I was asking, because we were looking at a TIF for the village at that time as an option, I was asking the people over there what they thought about TIF. And 80% of them didn't understand what it even was, number
Right.
one.
Yep.
And those who did, they were against it, they couldn't explain why they were against it.
Right, yeah.
And
People typically
'Cause
are
they
against
didn't know.
something they don't know or understand,
Right.
and a fear that it's going to impact their taxes.
Well,
That's the bottom line. They're
I would-
afraid their taxes are going to go up.
I would caution us to take an example we have in hand from several years ago about the educational task we have in front of us. Maybe very obvious to all of us, but it was obvious to the Transfer Station Committee that saving $500,000 on pay-as-you-throw was just incredibly low-hanging fruit.
Right.
It went down 80%.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big task.
Yeah.
Is there?
And we can't explain it with low-level questions, the kind we discussed. It's not going to work.
Let me ask just a very simple, I am now the person who's concerned. We're gonna get some tax revenue from this eel business. If I vote in favor of this TIF, then that money can't be used to pay our electric bill. If I vote in favor of it, if I vote against it, then that money could be used to pay our electric bill. Is that true?
Isn't,
Yes.
no, but isn't,
Well,
don't you have the base?
Well, you're right. The money, in simple terms, you're right.
Yep.
The
That's
money
what I
for
did.
the increased valuation.
Increased value, the
Doesn't
base
go
still
into the
goes in.
general,
Fund.
with everything, with all the other funds.
But back to
It-
my
it goes-
question.
It goes to a separate TIF fund, and those monies are targeted only for the economic
Right.
projects in the work.
I'm
So you're
representing,
correct on that.
I'm representing a frame of mind.
And they're
of-
gonna say, my taxes will never go down.
Even though buildings are being built.
Yes, because I'm never gonna get that break. So what if it just sits there for the next 20 years before there's enough money to really do anything? So for 20 years, I'm losing out on that benefit of that business valuation and the
Yeah.
possible reduction
We
in
got-
taxes. And that's,
That's a-
and that's what's gonna,
That's,
we've got the school talking about building a new high school. People are
Oh, they
gonna,
are?
It's all right.
yeah.
Let me do another devil's advocate if I could. Here's another question we might end up having.
Good morning.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is based on something you said a minute ago. So I'm Mr. Taxpayer and say, well, so you want to build a sewer extension up to the business park because they're growing and everything. Why should George get the money? Why don't we just build a sewer extension up Route 1 going east? Why should he get the money? He already is a rich guy. He already has this business park. He doesn't need it. He can build his own damn sewer extension.
But that begs the question. I mean, I understand the argument, but he's not getting the money.
I know, but that's
But
not
that's
what's going to be in their
perception.
We
mind.
need to-
Because
we
it's
need to
going
address
to
that.
the business park to expand the
it helps
business.
businesses not pay
So,
electric bills in the building.
so we
That's-
have
that's
to,
real.
so one of the things we have to decide as a community is, how badly do we want better paying jobs? It's a cycle, it's an economic cycle, and everybody struggles in this town for getting local pay. Local pay is not that good, generally, and it's very hard for people to afford apartments. Rentals are going up extensively, and never mind to buy a house. How's a young family to buy a house? So one of the ways that you can attract a business into a community that has better paying jobs is to improve the infrastructure that they need to operate.
Yeah.
And it could be anybody, for anything.
Let me make a quick observation, and obviously I'm in favor of the TIF, but during the 35 days of government workers not getting paid, some of the statistics that surfaced were really troubling. It was like 80% of the people in this country have like 2 weeks' money saved up.
Yeah.
Well, that is a mini version of what we're talking about.
Would you-
Do we as individuals save for the future, commit to investment? No.
I'm gonna share a statistic from this
Community area.
32 full-time employees. We thought that it would be great because right now we pay every week. Okay, we're gonna save money, we're gonna save time, we're gonna go
Pay
to
every 2
bi-weekly,
weeks.
pay every 2 weeks.
Disaster.
It will be I mean, I talk to employees who are like, I can't do that. You don't understand.
Right.
But
I
that's
can't wait a
what we're
week.
I
that's
can't
what-
wait a week.
So
Yeah.
when I'm voting for or against a TIF, in my mind, I'm either saving for the future or living week to week.
And that therein is Waldeboro,
Yes.
is.
So this is, yeah,
This is- this
steep
is-
hill, steep hill.
This is, it's just the same way we've handled capital, and we're having this discussion at the budget committee level right now, is we have always saved. But, so you're taking money out of people's pocket now to buy something for the future that they may never see. Or want. And therein lies this, it's a really huge,
It's a steep hill.
Okay,
It's a steep hill.
So that was really important. So answer that.
Well,
You're taking money out of my pocket for projects that I may have no interest in.
You're right.
So
But
how do
my
you answer that?
children-
And you're
my
absolutely
children.
right. And the only answer to that is that if we want, as Jen said, jobs, if we want new businesses to come to town, this is one of the key tools we're gonna use to get that done. It's focused on infrastructure, which is the public investment. And second, it gives us money to attract other money, which
Right.
is key.
Right, it's key.
If we, and the third thing is that there's no standing still. when it comes to like growth or economic development, is going forward or going backwards. If you stand still, you go backwards. And this is one of those things that, to move the community forward. And I would use the example, if we had a TIF 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and it was designed roughly the way we're doing it now, we would have captured value for all those improvements that went on, Hannaford, whatever. We could have done more.
Is there
We-
any way we could model that?
Give a concrete example.
Be-
Oh, we could
Could
take
have
the
had.
value.
Take the value of, say, the businesses in the last 10 years and put a value
10
on
years
that
is a
and,
good
and
period.
show us what would have been in that fund. And I just want to, like you said, it's for our children's future. I will tell you that one of the things that we hear here in the office is, and this will be what that person would say back, would be, my children might not have a future if I can't feed them. And that's the reality of what exists in,
Right.
in here. And I agree
Right.
with the,
No,
believe me, I'm not against it, I'm just
all
trying
I'm
to
saying
say.
is that this has nothing to do with taking money out of people's current pockets.
But the perception is.
That's the-
But it does.
But that's why we need to explain how it doesn't do that.
It's also one
But
tool.
it does.
One
It does.
avenue
It
we're
literally
working
does.
on. Not, there's other things we have to do to address that
Right.
shorter term issue. But this is just one thing. This is like, this is like preventive medicine, that like giving a vaccination when you're a baby that you're gonna value for,
Right.
because it's 30 years ahead. This is long-term
It's
stuff.
the decision to invest or save versus use and spend,
That's right.
Or cut taxes.
or cut taxes.
That's the more important issue.
I think your example, we take, good 10 projects that went on the last 10 years.
I think that
The
might
original value
make
and the value,
a
and say, all right,
difference.
we would have had this much money in the new value.
That's
that
gonna
would have
be
gone there.
more, if you can put that on a graph
Can we ask,
and show that,
Carol
is
to
gonna
do
be
that.
more than
because there's
this.
the Family Dollar, there's Hannaford, there's other improvements, Moose
My
Moose
taxes have
Crossing,
gone up a lot.
Northwest, you.
And
did,
all the
yeah.
new businesses in the last 2
10,
years
yeah.
have immediately added value.
Absolutely.
And part of the issue is too, it's not us.
Right.
No, just say in
You
the
know,
last 10
I mean,
years.
percentage-wise, the town
The new commercial
isn't spending
projects that
more.
have
No, I know.
It's the schools.
expansions
Right,
or new
I know.
additions.
I know.
Daryl says we add about $5 million.
Well, that's
in
been
valuation
always
a year.
how it's done. I mean, we can cut the town budget, which we did for years, and it didn't make a difference because the school budget kept going up. So no matter what we did, and we were the tiniest piece, really. I mean, it was just amazing. We were
We're still
whittling it away.
smaller than the school, but.
What I
it's-
mean is we were
yeah.
whittling down and whittling services and whittling, the whole thing, making people do double jobs, not double, but absorb more responsibility and cutting and cutting and cutting. And it didn't make a difference because everything around us was going up. So what we saved didn't matter
Right.
as a town.
Another way to maybe think about this is, and particularly if we did have a concrete goal, is there a way you could present this as we're putting sewers and water to the school system on layaway, and this is how we put this money into, this is a.
You can't say that, though, because that's not economic development.
No, but you could
right.
say this is one of the principal theoretical targets that we
You
use
wouldn't-
it for.
Oh,
We're
well,
not
if
going
it
to
was-
do it, but this would allow us to do it.
So it would be, if it doesn't fall in the category.
Well, it actually
doesn't fall in the
doesn't.
category.
Right.
Yeah.
If
It
we-
doesn't fall in the
Oh,
category.
it's
If we
not
get to the
because
point
of
where we're
the-
being wonky about
Can't-
this, we're not gonna
sewage
sell
is
it down.
count to the school.
And I
Except
thought
it's
what you
Route
said
1.
was really important a moment
That
ago,
would
when you
qualify.
said, any
Yeah, that would
project we
qualify,
do
yeah.
is gonna require the voters' approval.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
So it's not the select board that's gonna spend this money, it's the voters who are gonna
Yeah,
spend it.
we just
I think you gotta
developed a
get
plan.
that,
That's
and
a
I
really
think you
good
gotta
point.
show what we would have saved.
Yeah,
Or what we could have done.
right.
And I think, we leverage grant money. We leverage, we double, we triple our investment into that.
So we just bought $1 million fire department truck. How would that be? That's a big number.
Oh, we
Everybody
leased
knows-
it.
We didn't buy it.
No, lease it. No.
The voters can make it go back.
So even better, we invested for the future $1 million on paper. We committed to it. How could that be used?
Well,
This would allow us not to have done that. We could have
No,
$200,000.
no,
I
it's
know.
not.
I meant with a different kind of project, but as an investment, not that particular
Is there an
one.
example of something that we would have funded If we had had a TIF 10
We
years
could, we
ago.
potentially could have, yeah.
Right. Is it
Not the
something-
truck per
Is
se.
it something we did
But it's a
spend money
big
on
number
in the
everybody
last-
knows about.
Well, here's one we can say is, and this is a real example, with acidification, with the rising temperature of our waters, we're gonna see a change in the clamming businesses.
Yeah.
And lobstering throughout the area. So how do we position ourselves, to face that future? Maybe we do it with new ventures in aquaculture and things like that, like the eel. So this allows us to look forward and invest, into that, because those are real jobs and
But they're gonna
well-paying jobs.
confuse the industries you're bringing in with the infrastructure we need
That's
to
right.
get them here. And that's the argument, it's the infrastructure we need to get them here.
Yeah.
That we have to pay for.
And that's in our work plan. We say that.
Yeah.
And that's why, going out to the shellfish is critical.
Can you build docks with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Build a
yeah.
pier?
Yeah, piers,
Yeah.
anything like that
Working
that directly
waterfronts.
relates to, enhancing their businesses,
More jobs, more economic growth.
that's right. And building
More
from our
businesses.
strengths too.
Yeah.
We have,
Investments in the river, if they made it either more, investments in the river.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
enhancing tourism-based
Tourism,
businesses
too,
to our
actually.
Yeah.
downtown and area.
So
I mean, we
this-
talk
we
about
should have a list of-
electrical charging stations. My question is why would you stop in Waldeboro, except for gas? I mean, we need more
Waldo Theater.
activity. Yes, but those are some of the things we need to.
Yeah, but
like
this
in-
money can't be spent for that.
No, but we can put
Not for that in
sidewalks in
particular.
front of
We
it.
could
Right,
put- you're right.
And
sidewalks.
better parking.
Yes.
Better
And
parking.
signage.
Yep.
Right.
And get more people downtown because
point.
of, So all those things, that's how they help.
Parking, particularly with the apartments about to open over the laundromat, if you're looking for something
Yeah,
to make
there's no
people
parking.
vote, yes, it's gonna be, we'll get some more parking spaces downtown. I don't know how, but
No, there's,
it's basic, yeah.
there's
But
ways
something,
to,
something tangible that everybody would want.
When people say I have reservations, I say, I'm excited about this because this makes things happen. This allows things
right,
to
everybody
happen.
complains about things not happening and it's so slow and we need this improved and we need that improved. And the thing that always stops us is money. Always.
Is there anything in particular that anybody can think of that has come up casually or otherwise over the years that, pardon my pejorative sounding description, but the hoi polloi really wants and we can't afford to do? One of the things that occurs to me is the playground, but that wouldn't qualify, I don't think, as an improvement. But if we stop thinking like business people and town.
I'll give you a thing that people would love to have here that would affect
That would
the
qualify.
quality of life for the people who are gonna vote this down would be public transportation.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Because
very
I'm
interesting.
gonna tell you right now, if we're gonna, because this is on my goal list, my 42 things I have to do. Poverty and drug addiction. My people can't get to
Doctor,
the clinics
yeah,
to help get well
right.
because they have to go an hour this way or an hour
Right.
that, or 45 minutes this way or 45
Right.
minutes that way, and there's no public transportation.
Right, right.
You're never going to break the cycle of the drugs if you can't get them
Right.
off the drugs to then make them work. And then if they do get a job, most of them, some of them don't have licenses or
Right.
have no way to get around or can't afford it.
Right.
So there's no public transportation. And I follow some of the Facebook things, just getting a ride from here
Yeah.
to Rockland's $40.
Yes, I saw that.
So to push back, how do you translate that into TIF? Because that's a regional issue.
Well, I know that, but I'm just
know,
saying, I'm trying to figure out like what really matters. Like
Well,
you
that-
said, what really turns people on is daycare facilities that are affordable. I mean, that's where that's your appeal.
We need a Venn diagram of.
And
of what we can
affordable
do and what we
housing
wanna-
that's
Yes.
not,
Well, to,
Yes.
to speak to transportation, like I know in Central Maine, either Central Maine or Bangor, what they would offer is like a pass. So if you went once for a doctor's appointment, then the rest of your rides were covered, so you could go do your shopping or do some other activities that were more
But they
sort
have
of
a bus
recreational.
service.
We can
That's why
Not
that works.
necessarily.
Yeah, what about
Sometimes
a
they
bus
have,
stop?
they're tied into
Yeah,
like
we have to
taxi
qualify
services
that.
as
That
well.
can be
There's
done.
different voucher
have
programs that
those.
they
There's,
have set
yeah, we
up.
do.
But it at least contributes to
Right.
grocery shopping and other sort of.
So Rockland's
we could-
transportation that they instituted last year is actually doing quite well.
Yeah.
And is used and quite popular.
What is it? Is it?
It's a little bus
Yeah.
that goes around, and it hits the shopping areas as well as the hospital.
Exactly.
And that goes through by the doctors and so forth. And it's very affordable, and it's set up specifically to meet those needs.
But just take a step back, that took about 6 years.
Yep.
And the study got
Yep.
weaned down. It was supposed to go to Camden and
Right.
Lincolnville and into Thomaston, and it got weaned down because that was the only market area.
Right,
was,
that they could be
was
sure
Rockland.
of.
So there's a lot involved, but we could include transportation issues relating to economic development. Daycare is an economic
Getting to
development tool.
jobs, right.
And so those things can be added.
Right,
in.
but I'm
We
just
can
saying,
put
but
that
those
in.
are the things that if you're gonna wanna appeal to that segment that's gonna have your most naysayers, those are the things that are, you know, like you said, what's important, that's,
We
You know.
should,
Yeah.
we should make a list that anybody can think of projects
And
or
needs.
endeavors that would appeal to voters in the area, and then,
Well, that's the
Bill-
purpose of this outreach
Right,
too.
and then
We
let-
want to hear that.
Yeah.
and let Bill
We put it in if we
check
need
mark next to the ones that this could be
Yeah.
used for.
going to the Shellfish Committee meeting, you will definitely get good feedback on that.
Yeah, and but they're a target, their industry's
Yeah.
in jeopardy, and they're a target for, hey, we want to invest. That can, that can not only stabilize, but that can grow.
Would a solar farm be infrastructure?
If we tagged it into, yeah, I guess it could be.
To save
but
everyone's
we have to
electric
make a connection to how it impacts businesses and
That's gonna be a
economic
hard sell
development.
Okay.
Although bringing the infrastructure to the solar plant could be.
Well, it's actually got the power lines it needs now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, need water.
I mean, what they did in Booth Bay with the batteries that, allowed for to meet the peaks
Oh, the
without putting the
microgrid, yes.
transmission line. Now, that's
That would
economic
qualify,
development,
yeah.
because that would have been an extra cost, and that enhances, the viability of high-energy users, so they don't have to shut down, or,
Yeah.
things like that, the boat builders down there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of possibilities here.
I think that's the challenge, is to come up with that list.
If you
We-
want to say something, tap me if I don't look at you.
We talked about it, probably more on the sense of planning board, but getting people ready to bring their business ideas and application in, and I know that some of the community action agencies, this is what it's making me think of, have, support programs built in to start people off on their small businesses, small business loans. Are we working with Midcoast Community on that, or
That's
that
already in
KP-CAP?
place,
That's
yeah.
in place, or, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of in place. One of the things that Waldeboro, I think, has to get over, and why a TIF and a lot of other things that are going on in town are critically important, is that we have decades of, bad taste in people's mouths, that, and we're overcoming that,
Yes, we.
When I talk to people and mention Waldeboro, it's like I'm talking about someplace off the map, on that half the time. Oh, is there places there? They don't even have us on their radar screen. They'll jump right over into Dharmascotta, is that like we didn't exist, and then go from and it's so this is like, it's once you start talking to them, you break that down. But that's something that's out there that we, things like this get us on people's maps and pages, and and.
We need an anti-defamation campaign.
Well, we try. I mean, it's interesting. We did this. I will tell you, I think one of the things that has done the most is, and I give them credit, is the Waldo Theater. Because I will tell you, we've had now 2 news. We had a special on WGME, and I think, not to toot my own horn, but Carrie Lupian and I did a great job of hitting home that we're much more than what
Yeah.
people think.
Yeah.
And I am amazed now at the reach that had, where people are just
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to, I saw this on and it was just kind of a funny thing.
Get a link on the website.
We should get a link on the
We
website.
should get a lot of links, because Lakin's Gorgeous Cheese was on 207, and she was just a little short blurb, but she did a great job, and, there's a variety of things going
And
up.
it's not even on the website. We should just link that all on Facebook because
Yeah.
our hits are getting less and less on the website and more on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah, exactly.
One other thing we could,
Waldeboro out there.
one other
Yeah.
we can talk about too, regarding the naysayers and climate change is a website called floodiq.com. You want to know what areas of Waldeboro
Yes.
are going to be underwater sooner than people think. Look at that website. And I hope the Shellfish Committee looks at that.
I think you did
What's
that
the
the other
site?
day.
What is it again?
Floodiq.com.
Let's take a step back for a minute. We have to schedule at least 2 public meetings, and Max has some dates that are available. right?
Yeah, the ones that I already talked to you
Yeah.
about. For February, I think the 2 days that were already in mind was February 11th, which is a Monday, and then February 28th, I believe, which is a Thursday.
That's a budget committee meeting.
Then I will
potential.
change.
No, you know what? We didn't schedule for February 28th.
No, we didn't.
You're fine.
It's open.
Did
It's
you have
open.
another date there too?
No, because we're the 14th.
You're the 14th?
Yeah.
All right.
Valentine's Day, bold move.
All right.
Apparently nobody is,
We
gonna
don't
celebrate
celebrate
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day
Day.
from the budget committee. They all were like, yeah, we'll rather come here.
It's a diminishing day.
Oh, please. Yeah.
We're
So
very,
what does
we're very
February
entertaining.
11th and February 28th look like?
We can do a common celebration.
Why don't we do cheese and crackers that night? And I'll make a cheesecake.
If it's after Valentine's Day, candy gets cheap.
It's a
Thursday.
Monday.
I happen to know.
Did you not want to
don't
include the
need candy.
Waldeboro Business Association in one
Yeah,
of these?
Waldeboro-
What?
that will be the
February 27th.
Yes,
February
the day before the big public
That's
meeting
the
on the
tip.
28th.
Okay, so hang on, so say it again?
February 27th.
All right.
February?
And
We're all
there
set
was a
with
third
that.
day in March that I think
All
was
right.
scheduled, but that was
What's
In case
what's the
we
date
needed
for the
it.
shellfish?
They're next Thursday, or else you're gonna have to wait till March.
We'll get that scheduled.
Yeah, we'll
right
talk
as
with
we
Eileen
leave.
after this then.
So that would be
What's
next
next Thursday? The,
And it's at 5 o'clock,
That's fine.
Next
What
is that the
time-
7th?
what date is
Is that
that?
the 7th?
7th,
the
yes.
7th.
So the 11th and the 28th will start at 6 and go to 8. At least he'll be here. We'll expect the committee to be here. I'll do a brief, like, 3-minute, expo, kind of overview, and then we'll leave it open for ideas and questions. And we want it as interactive as possible,
Thursday,
so
next
people
meeting.
can comment, give us their ideas, suggestions, comments.
I think what would be really useful
Thursday.
Next Thursday.
would, so I wrote this down.
Yeah,
Takes
remember
money
to
out of
start
my
at
pocket,
5.
so you gotta answer
You
that.
gotta
somehow.
confront that
What if
right
you
off.
did like a pie chart? $100 a month, 100 tax dollars today.
Yep, good idea.
Where do they go?
Yeah,
Show me
it
where that
goes-
money goes.
Where it goes now versus
not-
where it would go if you
Great
have the
Yeah,
tip.
Right.
I personally, I don't want to, I like to focus and frame the question not on where my tax dollars goes now. I want it
Distracting.
focused on forward, jobs, and then these are all ancillary issues, because otherwise we're going to get stuck on this, and we're not going to move on to the
You just gotta be
benefits of the
prepared to
TIF.
answer the question.
Oh, yeah,
You gotta-
yeah, yeah.
Right.
But I think, once we dive into that pool, we're not getting out. You
Okay.
know what I mean?
You
It's
can get
gotta be
stuck there.
focused and framed. We're talking about the TIF and how the TIF will, yes, it will impact, where money gets placed and into this fund or that fund, but the focus is always, if we do this, this is the benefit, and if we don't do this, we lose opportunity on that. And, this has the positive thing, and this we just don't.
So the things that I found really powerful when you were selling it to us initially was the concept that some tax dollars today don't stay in the town.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
TIF dollars stay in the town.
That's
So
right.
that's something I would.
That would be a big
That would be a big
How do
one.
they not stay in the town?
School, county,
Oh.
We get those
Revenue.
benefits.
These get.
Revenue
sucked
to
out
Augusta.
before-
These get sucked
yeah.
out before that happens.
Before the school
Oh, yeah.
Right.
calculates what
or
we
the
owe.
state
Right.
revenue.
Yeah. And that's something, the
important.
TIF
It is.
plan that we
Right.
do, the final one, will have that guesstimation in.
Yeah.
And right now, all we can basically do is we'll probably say, we'll guess, but, we are going to get
Say, "I
money
need an answer, Julie's
into the
sitting next to
town.
me."
That's what it's not.
Otherwise would not be in the town.
So then you're gonna present that at
Make
these
her
meetings,
mad.
absolutely.
So
in a
that's-
very, very basic kind of way.
And then the
Relate to them.
second big idea that I really liked
Our
was
town
that
manager pay at it.
when we go to do infrastructure projects today, we don't have any money, which means we can't get matching funds.
Right.
When we have
we
a
haven't had
pool of
matching
money,
funds.
we can actually get matching funds.
There you go.
So essentially, we double our money
That's
Or
right.
more.
or more
Yes.
by having a TIF.
We become
So think about
attractive.
that. So every dollar you put in is going to be $2 towards a town project.
So it's your,
50/50 grant.
So what
Yeah.
is the
it's
projection
your
for
CD
the
with
first 3 years
100%
of
interest rate.
the actual dollar amount
What's
that's
that?
sequestered?
We haven't.
It's a
we
CD
haven't
with
done that.
100% interest rate.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not gonna be able to do that until after March
Pretty powerful, right?
31st.
Well, yeah, but that is the
Because
thing.
Darryl
You
has to
gotta
look at
take
Those are the
values of
messages.
We don't have the numbers
We gotta
yet. We don't have
confront-
the
But we
actual-
can give some idea, otherwise we wouldn't be doing
We're not
this.
yet
We're gonna
So-
give some, yes.
I think you
but
just have to
we
be
to
prepared for
qualify
it.
that.
So,
This
so
is
the
a
reason
That's
I
gonna be
bring
the
it up
fight you're
is,
gonna have to have.
if we did that as a function of the pie chart, and somebody said, asked the question, so you mean this money, A, is gonna be sequestered off here, and B, is not gonna go out of town, then Jan could whip out his pie chart and have this pencil-wide number. It's almost irrelevant to the budget, particularly at $25 million.
Yeah.
That's real dollars on the table, you know? If
Yeah.
you say the school budget, $20 million, can't do anything, just, they take it,
Yeah.
you know? Or you,
We have to be very careful because the TIF document is very precise
Yeah.
in our
Right.
guesstimation. So if we're, at this stage, we have to give pretty broad examples.
Whatever the
I want to be
example
very
is.
careful because we're
I
going to
think
get.
that's fine, though. I think
you
that's
have to give some number.
yeah.
They're gonna say,
Yeah.
what's the number?
Yeah.
How much are you picking my pocket for?
You got to demonstrate that my taxes aren't going to go up 25% the
Yeah.
first year you implement this thing.
Yes.
That's why you got to say your taxes aren't going to go up 25%.
And if you could say a number like, it's gonna be less than $10,000,
Yeah.
that's a huge number compared to 25 million. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
I'm not-
tiny number, it's a huge
Again,
argument.
I don't want to talk about how much your taxes are going to go up. That's not a conversation that's going to get us anywhere.
But you've
not.
got,
It's
hang
gonna
on,
come
but
up,
wait a
but
minute,
you're
hang
not-
on.
It's gonna come
It's-
up.
But you've got
It's
other
gonna come up.
town, hang on, you've got other towns that have implemented this.
Yeah.
And you know what the impact of
We can
those,
show those examples.
show those
Yeah.
examples.
There's a couple things. We're gonna do the exact guesstimation of what we're gonna save, and that's gonna be in the final. So I'm very hesitant to give exact numbers right now, because people are gonna look at the ones we do, and they may be more, and they may be less, and I don't wanna go into that area, at all on
I don't
that.
think you
So
do guarantees. I think you show examples of where this has been implemented and what the impact has been.
I think, yeah, that we could do, that we could.
And if you could tie that with a good grant example, like Damascotta did this, they did the TIF, it just sort of poked along, and then all of a sudden, they got a 3-to-1 match on some grant.
We'll use
Those
the one.
examples exist if we could find one.
Powerful, too.
3-to-1?
We'll use the one in Rockport.
Yeah, the
where
one in Rockport was good.
They're financing the SUR project completely with the TIF funds.
Bingo.
They're gonna get, that match is now used for an EDA match, and we just got informed that there's DEP bond money. So if we use the DEP bond program, we'll be eligible for up to $1 million grant, which will come from the bond money. So we're gonna get, which is gonna give us more, we're not gonna have to spend down as much in the TIF. So basically, the $2 million we expected to pay out of the TIF is now $1 million only.
that's cool.
So that's what happens when you
Huge.
have
Sure. You
these
can't
things
say-
start popping into
Wait a minute,
play.
and the 1 million out of the TIF, right? For how many millions of projects?
Well, the full project is $4.3 million. So, and that, we were going to get $2 million from grant money, all right? And the town was gonna use the 2 million out of the TIF. Now, because of this extra money, it's only gonna be 1 million.
1 million of TIF money to do a $4 million project?
Right.
Wow.
Can I suggest,
Every-
you can't describe
that's
it in a
now
public
that
meeting
is a
like that.
message to get out there.
Yeah.
That won't work. You have to put that in one sentence
Yeah.
with one pie chart or something.
Yeah.
And say this, Rockport did a 4-to-1, and don't talk about
Yeah.
federal leveraging grant, double blah, blah, bond revenue.
Devil's advocate moment. What if you don't want any infrastructure changes in Waldeboro? What if you like it
Then you
just
don't
the
want
way it
new
is?
business, you don't want good paying jobs.
Then you're not gonna support the TIF.
That's gonna happen, people are gonna have that attitude.
Yeah, but
But
those,
Hopefully they're not the
point
majority.
where I was, right, where I was going with that is,
Exactly.
there should be a list of potential infrastructure projects so that people could say, well, that would be
They're
good.
in the work plan. We have
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so they're characterized so that people could imagine it here. That's. First reflex, I like it just the way it is. Second reflex, well, yeah, that would be good. We gotta have that would be good.
and honest to God,
list.
really, think about it. So many people would like their kids to be able to stay or come back to Maine and have a decent life. And you know, most of the people who don't want any change aren't
You
thinking
gotta
about
go to
their
the
kids.
senior club, you gotta go to the women's
I've heard
club.
that from Prescott.
Yeah, those are the ones we,
Yeah, those are
let's get back to that.
Lions
We
Club?
have the 11th of February and the February 28th, public
And they're
meetings.
daytime
February 27th is the.
February 27th, a Wednesday.
Is the,
WBA.
WBA.
Shellfish is gonna be next Thursday, and we'll confirm that.
Yeah, we're
right
trying
after
to right
this.
Yeah,
now.
we're just trying to confirm
Now,
that now.
we have the fire department and the fire department. We should, town employees, John had mentioned, offer a time.
I think that's your focus group.
All right, let's.
That can actually force them to come.
yeah,
That's gotta
so
be
if
first
you
then.
Kind
Oh,
of.
thank goodness.
That's gonna be
They
before
meet
the
on
seventh.
Wednesdays,
show up,
6, don't
you know,
they?
I don't- Whenever.
Max can, yeah.
Max can do that.
I'll
Max,
send
you're
out
on.
an email.
All
We'll,
right.
we'll talk about who we should.
All right, all right, so
Yeah.
then
Here to go,
the,
he's got another appointment.
Oh,
the senior group, that's the one,
Yep.
they work at, they meet at the Legion, right?
they meet at the Legion, the lady, the women's group.
Yep.
And the woman's, Max, can you?
Yep.
All right.
So-
And then get us back for the dates on that, so we
Yep.
know.
So wait a minute, if the town employees are gonna be our kind of
Focus group.
guinea pigs or focus group,
Yep.
it's gotta be the first meeting, right? I mean, that's the one that's gonna,
Well-
Get it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
so it's gotta be
I
quick.
mean, I could do it next week.
But here's the
We're
thing.
gonna make it a
I gotta
focus
t-
group.
I gotta tell you right now, if we want this to be successful, we gotta practice, and we actually have to have a
The presentation.
format to the presentation. You can't,
I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, we should have John Daigle, because he's gonna,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
get Johnny Daigle, Eileen, I would get,
Richard,
no, he's not from town.
but he'd still,
Yeah, I think you need Johnny, I'd get Mark Gifford from Public Works, Blaine, because he's young. I mean, we got a good little group we could bring in
when can we do it?
next week.
Set it up, yeah.
Why
do it.
don't, when you guys have a,
Yeah.
do you wanna do it next?
Max, why don't you set it up and
All right.
I'll fit it in my schedule.
And the
I know
feedback you
Tuesday
get
morning.
from them would be very
Everyone else
useful
was
to
talking
put
up to me 'cause
together
I
the.
said-
I
Yeah.
can't do it Wednesday morning, but I don't have to
Larger
be here, you
groups.
guys can.
Well, Wednesday probably wasn't
They're-
gonna
they're
happen because
definitely influenced.
Bill's in
Yeah.
Rockport anyway.
Oh, Monday or Tuesday?
do you want the
Tuesday
committee
afternoon.
involved in any way?
Monday's fine.
I think the committee should be there, if not only just to hear, but to
Yeah.
practice answering questions. Some representatives should be. Otherwise, there's nobody who knows really the details of why this is a good idea.
Peg?
I'm in town next week. I can
Yeah,
do it.
typically, I mean, 33% will be for it, 33% are
Police
unsure,
department.
and 33% are against this. This is typically how the votes spread out.
And Waldeboro might be even skewed a little more to the.
We have that 33 in the middle that can go. either way.
Sergeant, we need a sergeant, he lives here.
So when is your first meeting gonna be then, Julie?
It's gonna be next week, Monday or Tuesday, is what I heard.
Yeah,
Oh, Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Today's
yeah.
Friday.
Well, like, I gotta put out the email today if it's Monday.
That's awfully short notice.
Monday
Let's do
before.
two, can we do
Well, they have to
Tuesday?
work.
They're town employees, so they'll be
Yeah,
here.
they'll be here,
It's a
yeah.
forced march. I can make a focus group a
And
forced
then
march.
the fire
I just
department will.
can't,
Okay, hang on, so let's set it. So it's gonna be Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah,
I'm being
Max will-
selfish, I could make Tuesday.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do Tuesday, what time?
that is to be determined.
Tuesday at 2 works really well.
Tuesday at 2.
Tuesday too.
All right, Tuesday.
Because then I'm
yeah.
gonna get shift change and,
So I'll put
I'll
that
be
on my
good.
calendar to be here.
2 o'clock?
Does anybody else want
I
to,
wanna
Is it
be
the
there.
fourth?
Bob wants to be here?
That's the
I'll
fifth.
come.
That's the
Okay,
fifth.
great.
Yep. It's the
Awesome.
5th.
So anybody on the committee is obviously invited to be here.
And then
And
the
I'll
other,
send a note to George so he knows.
then the other days, the seniors, the women's committee, and the fire department will be scheduled sometime this week. We'll get a hold of them and set up a time for sometime in February.
So-
Try to do that. in
you
the
might
next
wanna
couple
go up
days.
to the Baptist church. I know, it sounds a little odd, but
Do they
they
have-
have a lot
It's a
of
big
different,
group,
it's a
too.
huge group.
It's huge.
A lot of them
Yeah.
are from out of town though, so you gotta, I was surprised to find out how many are from outside of Waldeboro in that congregation, so.
So the other thing is that it seems to me that, so when we do these, it's kind of a pitch, right? When we do the pitch, that we've got to have kind of So I'm big on, you guys know I'm big on the whole, the triangle concept and pyramid. And you know how a pyramid works? Pyramid's really simple.
Regis McKenna.
The pyramid is like this. Boom, boom, boom. Up here is, what's the problem? Problem is, the town folk are gonna vote on whether or not to approve a TIF. That's our, right? And so the very top of the pyramid is, what's the action you want the town to take? The action is simple. You want the town to vote yes on a TIF program. Under that, there's what drives that decision? What are the three things, three important ideas? Don't have 100 ideas. Have like three important ideas that will drive the town to make that decision. And it could be like we said, like it's the only way we can get matching funds. We can turn $1 into $4 of infrastructure funding for the town. That's huge. That's a huge idea. Without a TIF, we have no way of ever doing these kind of projects because the town simply doesn't have a savings plan. Every dollar that comes in gets
We don't generate
spent.
enough money for
We
that.
never have money.
We don't generate it.
We don't
We don't have enough property taxes collected in town to actually do more than simply fund our operations.
Right.
This is one of our biggest challenges has been for many, many, many years.
And then the other big idea is that the TIF money actually comes from new tax valuations. It doesn't come from the existing tax base. So the existing tax base none of the dollars come from the existing tax
We
base.
need to make that graphic somehow.
So,
That's a big piece, because if you can convince them it's not their money,
I wouldn't use the word tax money, it's valuation. No,
It's dollars
this
and
is
cents.
very
No,
important.
and I think you're
This is
right,
very
because that
important.
speaks to, when you're talking about what's driving them to vote, then it's more of a financial security question,
Right.
so.
It's a savings program.
it's a savings program.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna get focused on my tax bill.
I
It's
hear
not
you.
your tax bill.
You're gonna have
It's
to
the
answer
new
those
value.
questions, but I wouldn't put it in the,
Valuation,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's,
in writing.
Yeah, that's the clever thing to do.
So,
otherwise,
being honest at the
yeah, I
same
mean,
time.
well, it is honest. That's what we're dealing with.
so
here. It's
the,
not-
to me, the actual presentation is probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's some big ideas.
it's gotta be
Some
short.
big supporting ideas, then it's questions, question and answer.
you know what to make it like? Savings, Christmas club. Lots of
Yeah.
people in this town use Christmas clubs at their banks.
That is a
They're
good,
small.
that is a good sample.
It's
love
just
that.
$1 a week,
Yeah.
Love
but
that.
they
Yeah,
work.
multiples like
It's a
that.
good
There are other
analogy,
things
yeah,
too
I like
that
it.
do.
It's a Christmas
It's a
club.
Christmas
It's
club
Waldeboro's Christmas
for
club.
Waldeboro. Oh my God, I love
That's
it.
something they get their head around. It's not technical.
I like
The
it.
WCC, we
I
won't
love
call
that.
it a
That's a great-
TIF, we'll
that's a
call
great
it the
analogy.
WCC.
The question will be, do you approve of the Waldeboro Christmas Club?
Club, yeah.
Yes.
There you go. That's great.
Waldeboro improvement from, why can't it be a whiff instead of a TIF?
The Waldeboro Jobs Club, that's what
Yeah.
it is. It's jobs, it's jobs, it's jobs.
We have to do something about jobs and the cost of,
This is one way of doing
it's
it.
just crazy.
Yeah.
It
But-
is.
It's seriously crazy.
But
Yeah.
if you just start,
The biggest
if you just
problem we
start
have.
going into this, you've lost them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have like, no more than three big ideas that drive it.
Yeah.
Then get into the minutia, but the three big,
Those are things they're gonna have if they wanna look at.
if they want to look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Take home.
And then the actual TIF plan, like I say, will be a condensed version. Most people don't look at that. Some do, but
You never got
it's
back to it.
there if they wanna see it. It's there. if they want.
So what I'm gonna take, I'm gonna come up with three big ideas.
Sure.
And I'll
No, it's
share
not.
them
It's
with
too
the
cold.
group.
Okay.
And then you guys can
I'll call it.
beat it up or
Yeah.
what I like to, wordsmith it.
Yeah.
Like, no joke, because
Yeah.
like, if you want to get a big idea across, how you say those 4 or 5 words, and
I
in
do it
what
all the
order,
time.
can really
Make a
impact,
difference,
Yeah.
yeah.
make a difference. So wordsmith it, but I'll come up with what I think the 3 big ideas are. And I'll probably do that this weekend, hopefully.
So what we'll do is probably within the next couple of days is try to confirm the days and times for the ones that are open-ended. And then we'll send out a comprehensive kind of list of all the dates and times. We have February 11th, February 28th, February 27th, And next Thursday with the Shellfish.
Hopefully, that's what
Yeah,
Bob's
hopefully,
trying to
yeah.
confirm for you.
We'll confirm that right off the bat. And then Tuesday with the employees. And the rest are open-ended. We have to contact them and get dates and times.
Yep.
Can I make an observation that occurred to me when we started talking about this? Just coincidence in economic development happening now, but potentially an opportunity to leverage some stuff with a strong potential opponent, and I realize we're being recorded. We have a long-established business in town that does quite well, that's critical to a lot of jobs in this town. That's Abden's Shellfish Distribution. He's just invested $100,000 of cash with that, in his own property, right in the center of town, that's doing exactly what we want to do. He also will not spend a nickel, if he can avoid it, having the town raising taxes, spending any tax money. He's a perfect poster child for why this might work, if we could recruit him and have him help answer that question. Because, does anybody share this sense? He could be
No,
a
not at
strategic
all.
partner, you don't.
First of all, I think that perhaps the fact that he doesn't want to spend a dime, I think, is a complete falsehood. I think that he actually is very progressive. As far as all of my select board members, probably is more likely than not to spend money and invest in the town. But do I think you having him on your side is a good idea? Definitely. But
That's
I
my
definitely wouldn't approach it like that.
I'm just taking the most recent quote in the Lincoln County News. If it doesn't cost the town a dime, I'm for it. So he is, in a sense, that's his report on his comment in the select board meeting on the EV charging. Not an unreasonable comment, but it gives us the opportunity to leverage
That
his
was
sense.
okay.
That's all.
I'm not going
He's
to argue politics.
Oh,
but,
no, but it's just
but
a lot,
that's
a lot of
but
people are
that's
going to listen to it.
right.
If he's
People
on
will
our
listen.
side.
Yes, I think he is very powerful. His opinion
Yes.
does carry a lot of weight. You
Yeah.
have to convince them.
Yes.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
I think
He's very prudent and selective in
I
what
think he is.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he
So-
is.
So, would it be valuable to invite some of the other committees in town to,
Well, that's why we have the open meetings too, yeah. We're not targeting like planning board or things like that.
But we could invite them.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
we should
They can get-
invite
they'll get
them.
notified. Yeah,
Conservation,
Yeah,
I think we
absolutely.
should let them know that we would really like their presence.
We
How
could-
about the sewer district representative? Should we let them know as well?
John Fancy, John. we
Yeah,
could talk
John
to
and his
John,
board.
yeah.
Like, hold on.
Not his board, but yeah, they could.
Why
they
not
could
his
be
board?
invited, yeah. I haven't talked to them. I talked to John Fancy, but I haven't talked to the board.
All right.
No, we could make sure we get the distribution list
different
for all
walks
the
of life.
committees to be sent out,
Yep.
notices, yeah, including the school board too.
They are.
Yeah, that's why we did the broadband program the way we did, because it wasn't gonna cost the town a cent. But now we're stuck with some people that aren't
Did he
connected,
answer?
Yeah,
a few.
You'll ask.
But we have fiber in there in part of the work plan, that's a
And that's infrastructure.
component,
Any
yeah.
chance
Right.
we can go meet with them?
right, and it definitely
email
impacts
yesterday.
economic growth.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm way behind on my emails. Sorry.
Let's see what input we get from the public meetings, and then we can craft this. This is this took a long time for the town to even discuss this in the open. So we've moved ahead.
Yesterday.
Let's keep on going forward.
So we're gonna just present it and then listen,
answered yours.
and then answer
Absolutely,
questions. Yep.
What about a newspaper announcement? We're going to have these meetings in the
Yeah, it's
LCN.
on that list.
Yeah,
we'll
we
get
were
that.
gonna
No,
do a press
no,
release as well.
hit
We just
that
wanted to do
because
this
I
meeting first.
followed it up.
We'll do it as soon as we get something scheduled.
I wonder if we could arrange an op-ed piece somehow. Before or between one of the meetings? I don't know. Just to get people thinking and reading.
Right
about it.
now, I would do, this is what we're doing, the op-ed after, when we put the final together. Because this is not the,
I'm just thinking of the lead time it's going to take people to get their head around the idea.
Yeah.
The more we have out there, the more conversation that we can stimulate, the more likelihood is people will take it seriously.
I think right now, getting, an article about this is what the town is doing, but I wouldn't take a position on it till after the final.
Till we get some base numbers and
Yeah.
stuff, yep.
Do you have any examples of towns that voted it down and then made some changes
Oh, yeah, I was
in
gonna.
order to get it to approve so we can understand what they had to do?
That happens, doesn't happen a lot, but that does happen. So, I mean, a no vote at the town meeting, I would just shrug off and say, all right, let's start again.
Yep,
Let's answer and
Yeah,
address, because
exactly.
sometimes voting no is good, because then it restructures, reformulate.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes people have to be against something before they're for it.
right.
Yeah.
So, and that, I don't take that as.
First glance versus, well, now I understand a little more, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Well, no, it just gives everybody a chance
Yeah.
to, like, I think you were saying, if people don't understand something, I'll vote no. And that may be a prudent decision.
Absolutely.
So,
It's culture in this
I wouldn't
town.
take it, yeah.
And that's why the more complicated, the more complex the presentation is,
Yeah.
the more likely they are to vote no.
Vote no.
You gotta keep it as simple as you can. What's a good example of a infrastructure project that this, for Waldeboro, that a TIF money could be used for, that will bring in good paying jobs?
I would use the fish pier in Rockland, because it connects with aquaculture. It's, the TIF is a portion of funding, and it comes from, and this is a good example, the TIF, the town is putting in money in addition to the TIF. There's an EDA grant of $800,000. There's a Northern Border grant of $350,000 to it. There's a MDOT funding, I think it's about $100,000.
See, to me, that's just a beautiful graphic right there.
But that's, and everything happens because of, none of those things would have happened
Without
without
the
the
TIF.
town match.
Absolutely.
The town match got us the NBRC.
And what does that
money.
fish pier, what does that mean to the town though? What is, so
I think
what?
that's the
It's a
crux. What would
working
our
waterfront.
example be?
It's a working
The
waterfront.
working waterfront, the lobster landings, herring landings. I mean, it's an essential component of the fishery in Rockland and the region.
So what would our
Love it.
counterexample be?
Counterexample would be
Concrete
the
one.
clamming, the clammers.
So we know how well the Dutch Neck Marine concept went over initially.
Well,
What would
that
be
was
a
a
good?
component, that.
No, I know, but I'm just following up on Jan.
Yeah.
What could we say, and this could be the Waldeboro example like Rockland. What's a concrete example here?
Well, growing small clams so they could be seeded.
You could get lobster boats up the river
Yep.
I
and,
mean,
and get the lobster trade going in Waldeboro. Compete with Bremen.
Yeah.
I mean, new.
Where would they
Really tough.
land?
new
I mean, all the guys who have
advantages
boats in
of
Waldeboro
aquaculture.
anchor downriver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are reasons that don't have to do with our river for that. That's
Yeah.
why they're in Round Pond.
I would connect it to continuation of the viability of the clamming industry.
You're right, okay.
And then new ventures in aquaculture. The biggest would be seeding clams.
Yep.
We put the acidification in the water of the young clams and the oysters, they kills them. I mean, that's something we're gonna have to do.
Well, we're just now, we just applied for a $30,000 grant to move seed from closed and restricted area to clean area.
Yeah.
And pay the clammers when we're closed for a 10-day rainfall to move seed.
So to me, still,
So that's like, that would be huge.
that's a nice example, I guess, for Walter, is that a powerful example for Waldeboro?
I think it's powerful for a certain segment of
Yeah.
Waldeboro.
Right, you've got a lot of segments in town.
Well, for the people that really want the arts and things and the
There's
vibrancy
a
in downtown.
Downtown.
I think that you've got to tie Waldo Theater, like,
You could do
what's
like a
gonna come up.
revitalization of the downtown area.
I think everybody buys into that, including the clamming industry.
Right, parking,
I love it. Parking, lights,
Parking and sidewalks.
sidewalks.
So they've got
Bike
five
path or
o'clock
bike-
Thursday.
Yeah,
For
some of the
the-
bike
He,
lanes.
Shellfish
he let him in.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, bike, it's not
It's
safe to
confirmed.
ride a bike.
He said he's got a
Well,
contact.
that's the
every
widening of
the
some of
agenda.
those.
Well, a lot of
areas.
people are against widening, totally against
So
widening.
what I,
need him
so
on
what I
board.
think
Oh,
would be
yeah.
powerful
That's
is you
why.
use that
Yeah.
Rockland
DOT
example of the
Terrible
fishing
design.
pier.
Widening
And then you
highway
say
up to
some
Midwest.
similar examples in
Towns where-
Waldeboro could be.
This was in the nineties and they were
Using the TIF to fund,
obstructive.
Improvements to
And
the,
it's-
Everyone's into biking.
the
Well,
harbor.
I mean, maybe.
It's
I
also
think
putting in.
We
a-
have soft
I think
shoulders
we're-
everywhere, they're not
It's
gonna
also a
widen the, you know,
sidewalk
I think it's
extension
done. The Route 1 is as wide as it's gonna be, and the side roads, the state
down
roads,
to the Rockport
they're not gonna
line,
put the
to
money into
connect
that.
where
I see people
the Concord
walking
bus
and biking
goes
up there,
back to the
I'd love to go riding.
See, we could have,
Sure,
we could
but
do that, to use our
that's
waterfront.
state-owned
Improve the water.
roads,
Well, I'm
and we're,
wondering,
this
you know,
money
the
is not
collapse
for
grant
that.
we just had. We could use TIF money, could we use TIF money, not per se for infrastructure, but to leverage a grant to finally acquire property and develop it from the waterfront? The Pine Street property,
Oh,
for
the Pine,
example.
yes, that
That would be okay?
That would be
okay.
eligible, yeah.
Because that might be a really compelling
Actually,
example.
that's in here, it's in the work.
That was a
plan.
great,
Yeah.
that actually did resonate with the public.
Everybody got excited.
So this is
There
what
was
you
gonna be
do.
a public
Everybody.
Kid
So-
park
You'll
there,
never-
everything. That could be a
They're,
powerful.
they can't
So
afford
you,
to
so you have
do the
a couple of,
holes
like, so
that
my,
are
my,
appearing.
you know,
should
big
read
ideas were, you
I'm
know,
sure you
it's
do.
like a town
I mean, I
Christmas
read
club.
about, what they're,
It's a way for the
they're
town
now
to save
wanting
money and have money
institute a
available when
bigger
we need
gas
it.
tax
Targeted.
because electric
We
cars
get
are
matching
taking too much of
funds.
the gas tax.
So we use the
out.
example
And
of
their
Rockland where
budgets are going
$1
down,
turned
the
into
feds are cutting them.
$4.
They're a mess.
That's huge.
Totally
So-
mess.
So it's a 25-cent, throw 25 cents on the table and put a $1 bill down. That's
The
what it
TIF
means.
is always the starting point.
And then, and then the other one is
Yeah.
infrastructure equals good paying jobs.
That's right.
Infrastructure
Targeted
equals
infrastructure
good paying
equals good
jobs.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
you
and then you
develop-
use the Rockland example, and then you come up with similar things that we
Waldeboro.
could do in Waldeboro.
Yep.
And that's it, I mean, I think that's kind of, and then,
In 3 minutes, you had to do all this in 3
oh,
minutes.
Has to be done quick, yeah.
it's quick, it's gotta be
Well,
quick,
we
because
could
you wanna
also
leave
bring
them
it
with
up
big
to answer
ideas that
questions,
land
too.
powerfully.
I think graphics are important if you can generate them.
Yeah.
I
People are
think that would
visual.
be a nice,
Which is
I
the
think you'll get a
fish
lot
beer
of good
that you
feedback.
welcome?
All right, so,
Which is the
Our
fish
focus
beer?
group.
so we have a
all
meeting
is
Tuesday at
almost
2,
like-
so everyone's welcome, I'll send that out to the EDC and let everybody know that we're doing that with these other dates. And,
Awesome.
Oh, Kyle.
oh, how do we get, for the public meetings, how do we get the newspaper here?
Right into it. You go,
How do we get the paper?
LCN, just call them.
you go through some.
Yeah, like, how do we get coverage?
And it's,
Oh, we just call
There's a road
Alex.
that you
Okay.
get right to it, just a tilted
And Beth.
property.
Yep, we're good. Yeah, meeting adjourned.
We call Alex